Now I'm at the point you wanna be with me. I'm vibing out at a higher frequency, cause everything that I want and I'm gonna be, it's when I wake up, that's when I start to dream. Someone you love is talking down, here is the plan. Let it fall through like a handful of sand. Nothing happens overnight, what you must understand. If you dwell on the bad, then you don't stand a chance. Something you want upset, saying why it ain't mine yet. That's because now you have yet to change your mindset. People don't put their mind to rest while they're so wired. A lot of people go to sleep and wake up tired. Power of positivity and persistence. Say that I can, we'll just sit back and witness. Make an impact when our time is done. Make money, help people, and have lots of fun.
Okay, that's not going to work. Hello and welcome to Office Hours with David Meltzer. I am today's host, co-host. David is going to be joining us, I think, a little bit later. I'm Blaine Bartlett, and we're going to be talking about moving possibility into reality. This is the soul of business version of Office Hours. We do this every Thursday, David and Rhett Power and myself. Rhett is on an airplane. David, like I said, will be joining us hopefully just a little bit later here. But this idea of moving possibility into reality, and I'm using this comment as a way to tee up our first guest. Everything that's ever been invented in the world, literally in the universe that we experience, has come into being twice. First as an idea, and then second in physical form. So it's not a question of creation, it's a question of manifestation. Yeah, how do we actually manifest the life that we want in our business, in our life, in our marriages, socially, economically? I mean, all of those things kind of come into this category we call living life. And there's knowledge that we can access that allows us to be able to work with this. And this isn't woo-woo. This isn't out there in Southern California under a rock or anything. This is knowledge that we can actually access and work with in our own lives. David and I do a program each week in the Napoleon Hill Institute, where we are literally doing a deep dive in Napoleon Hill's teachings. And this show, Office Hours, is very eclectic. We bring guests in from all kinds of different places that have very interesting insights about how life can actually be assembled, put together, and actually lived. So with that being said, this idea of manifestation, moving possibility into reality, I want to bring up Billy Carson. He's a best-selling author, serial entrepreneur, and he's a founder of a company and a CEO of a company called number 4, Forbidden Knowledge Incorporated. Forbidden Knowledge. So I'm just fascinated. Number one, I love the names of companies sometimes. When we start exploring a little bit about, okay, what gave that? Where did that come from? Like the name of my company, I founded it in '87, is Avatar Resources. Avatar is a Sanskrit word, physical embodiment of an idea. I mean, that's essentially what it means. And that's what businesses are. It's a physical embodiment of an idea. So the idea first, and then physical manifestation. So Billy, I'm going to just start with a question. Forbidden knowledge. Let's do a little, lift the cover up, see what's in there. And then I want to talk a little bit about the actual work that you do with your academy and everything else. But first of all,
so much.
Position the company.
Yeah. So thank you. And first of all, thank you for having me on this amazing podcast. I appreciate it. So forbidden knowledge. Years ago, I had started researching alternative information, understanding archaeology and sciences in a different way than the average person. And I realized that there were a lot of pieces of information, little nuggets in history that seemed disconnected over space and time, but actually were connected in a way that most people couldn't see them. And it wasn't that they were, top secret knowledge. They were just forbidden pieces of knowledge. In other words, they were obfuscated or hidden in ways where you can get to them if you really want to search, but then you have to connect all the dots because it was so compartmentalized. And so I realized that was forbidden knowledge. And the reason why for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm born on September the 4th. That's number one, right? And
September 9th.
yeah, in numerology, I'm a master number 22, which is 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. And then also, it's all about seeing things from a higher dimension. So from the 4th dimension and up, you can see the past, present, and future all at once. It allows you to connect the dots by seeing the grand scheme of things simultaneously. So it just made sense to call it forbidden knowledge.
I love that. I love that. You know, Bob Proctor and I did a program a number of years ago called Fourth Dimensional Leadership, and it was organized specifically around that fourth dimensional, that metacognition, just kind of being able to see things in ways that most people don't really take the time to see, because then you can access these little knowledge nodes that seem to not be connected, but when you really take a look at it, they are connected. And if you can begin to learn how to leverage that, all of a sudden things can take a different form and a different shape. I'm working on a PhD right now. The metaphysical foundations of business ethics. And metaphysics is the oldest branch of philosophy. It dates back about almost 6,000 years. You are a metaphysician. You have done a lot of work in this field. How do you bring a metaphysical conversation? Because when people hear metaphysics, they kind of go, okay, where are you going with this? and there's a there is a very solid foundational there when we start thinking about life and living and the universe in metaphysical terms. Where did, number one, you get the inclination to begin exploring that? Number two, how do you apply it in the work that you do?
Yeah, great questions. And so I actually came across metaphysics, to be quite honest, by accident, just as a child. My very first thought experiment was, I was down in Miami, Florida, and we were at what they call a wash house. This is where you used to go take your laundry on the weekends, right? Very hot out there, 98 degrees. You can, with the pavement, you can probably fry an egg. It was probably like 105 on the pavement. And it was so hot, and the wash house didn't have any AC, just open bays. And I was outside, and I said, I wonder if I can send myself to Alaska. I think I was 8 years old. So I knew that Alaska was cold. And if I was in Alaska, I'd be cool right now if I was inside of an igloo. And so I said, I wonder if I can just send myself to Alaska if I'd cool off. Just a random thought that just came across me as a young kid. And I sat down on that hot curb, and I closed my eyes. I started envisioning that I was inside of an igloo in Alaska. And I didn't know what meditation was. I didn't know anything about spirituality or metaphysics, but something miraculous happened that day. That was my first expose into this quantum field, because I really felt like I was in an igloo within a few minutes. And I was there for about maybe 8 to 10 minutes or so. And when I came out of this quasi meditation, my skin felt cool to the touch, and I wasn't sweating anymore. And that's when I knew there was something beyond this realm, something beyond reality. And it really started making me ask more questions. And I still didn't have the phrasing or the wording in terms of meditations and all these. I just knew that what I experienced was miraculous, and that somehow I did it through conscious thought. And so when you say, how can you apply that in your life? The more I tapped in and researched metaphysics and spirituality and quantum physics, I began to realize that all those go together. Growing up, we begin to think that all these three things are separate lanes, but they're not separate lanes. Each one of them complement and also even explain one another. And if you want to really know how to take yourself to the next level, consciously, spiritually, if you want to learn how to manifest a better life, a better reality, and even to tap into the true abundance that's also your birthright, getting a fundamental understanding of the basis of the philosophy behind these three teachings can really allow you to not only create the reality you want, but to understand how and why you're creating it through your conscious thought, multiplied by your own actions. And that's how you get your manifestation.
Yeah, I like the idea of movement. You've got to have action. It's not enough just to sit and look at a blue candle and go,
Right. Exactly. You need action.
You got to put some things in motion here. I was reading today Neville Goddard. I kind of go back and forth with different readings, as part of my morning study. And I came across this passage that I absolutely loved. I underlined it today. It's easier to ascribe your feeling to events in the world than it is to admit that the conditions of the world reflect your inner feelings. However, it's eternally true that the outside mirrors the inside. As
Now
it is within, so it is
now we're
without.
getting into the Hermetic principles now.
Exactly. This is where Hermes comes into play. And as I mean, you're teaching, you've got Forbidden Knowledge TV and the 4BK Academy, educational content, media programming, that sort of stuff. What kind of teachings could I expect as a student? Let's just take Forbidden Knowledge TV, because TV is how people take stuff in today. And I say TV, not
right.
And the way that my generation thinks of TV, but
it's totally different. I'm not. We don't have TV. We don't have the tell-live vision. We don't have that tell-live vision. We have a different type of television. Now, what I did do was I mimicked or copied their broadcasting. So anytime you're watching broadcasting, they are broadly casting a spell. And that spell can be a positive high vibration, or it can be a low vibration. Right now, mainstream TV casts a vibration, which is a low frequency, low vibration, designed to pump fear into your body, keep you in fight or flight, freeze mode, and keep you always panicking. And that panic takes the blood out of the frontal lobe, sends it to the back of the brain, and now you can't make conscious, logical decisions anymore. You're living in helter-skelter survival mode, and that's exactly how they want you, because then they can manipulate you. And what I did at Forbidden Knowledge TV, I took the same technique. We're going to broadly cast. We're going to cast out a high vibration, knowledge, education, knowledge of self, self-love, empathy, music that gives you 428 hertz and 423 hertz and 423 and 528 hertz to resonate right with the DNA. And we're going to give you financial literacy so you can understand how this financial matrix works. We're going to give you every single tool you need to work on yourself and become better, as you said from that Neville Goddard verse, on the inside, so that when you improve on the inside and take a journey to inner space, what manifests on the outside is going to reflect that. And you can change yourself on the inside, and that will externally, it will begin to alter and transform your own environment. And so they can expect to come in here and be around a team of leaders. I don't call anyone who's on my accounts followers. I only build leaders. Followers, for me, they don't exist. The followers, they fall away, but the leaders stay. And so in there right now, we have 1,800 leaders, people on the same frequency and vibration. So even though we're spread out all over the world, when you come into the Forbidden Knowledge Academy, what's happening is you're putting yourself on that quantum field vibration of all 1,800 leaders that are all resonating on the same frequency, all there to support you, help you, assist you, and also hold you accountable for the classwork and the teachings and the posting that you're supposed to be doing. So it's a way of going to the gym, the conscious spiritual gym, and that person's right there going, you got one more rep in you, let's go. And we're all working together, and we're building together, and we're all becoming better internally together, which is outside. It's going to eventually change the outside world.
You're describing something, I think, some people, I'm not going to say all people, are familiar with something called the multiverse. And when we think about it in terms of quantum physics, the idea here is that there are multiple realities. We don't just have this one that we experience, in our sense of time space, but the multiverse is one notion. The other one, and this is what I'm interested in your comments on, something called the pluriverse. And the pluriverse is essentially what we create what we look at today and we call reality is nothing more than the aggregated consciousness of everybody alive projecting outward into time and space. And now we deal with what that collective consciousness is generating. As it is within, so it is without collectively. What I love about your academy is that you're taking the pluriverse concept and you're saying, okay, we got a group of leaders here. Leaders cause movement. That's what they do. They cause movement. They cause, this is possibility into reality. And it's one thing for me as an individual to, say, okay, this is what I'm going to do in my world, in my little piece of, this planet. But when we collectively begin shifting consciousness, a shift in consciousness collectively, then we begin to see some things outside, literally outside of us that reflect that internal shift that has occurred. How are you leveraging the notion, if in fact you are, and I think you are, this notion of the pluriverse?
Oh yeah, the pluriverse definitely exists. And what I teach them is that collectively we are all creating, as you said, we are collectively creating reality. Individually, we're also creating our own reality tunnel. But these tunnels intersect and intertwine, and this projection is real. We know that the brain is encased in complete darkness. The brain technically doesn't really know what's going on outside of itself, outside of the skull, but it's connected to its friends. And its friends are your sensory perception system: sight, hearing, taste, smell, touch, and so forth. And the brain says to its friends, go out there and collect me some data. So the friends go out, they touch, they smell, they taste, they hear, they see. And the friends know a little bit about the data, but not the full understanding. It's more like compartmentalized information. They transmit that data via electrical signals back to the brain. The brain then takes it and within milliseconds sorts it all out. And then the brain projects a hologram as to what it believes is going on the outside. And we navigate through this matrix based on a holographic projection that intersects with everyone else's projected realities as well. So collectively, we're co-creating this reality that exists here. And I think that once people understand that, they can begin to understand that the more of us that are vibrating high, the more of us that are creating these real, true, high-level experiences for ourselves to actually emote and project. Now we're collectively spreading that like a conscious virus around the world, and we can all begin to vibrate higher, think higher, be better, love more. And instead of, we know what happens when you get on the lower vibration, you project that lower frequency. We begin to attract more of that into our lives, and then we have a problem for every solution. So we have to make a choice. Do we want abundance or do we want scarcity?
And it's an abundant universe. I mean, and we do get to make a choice. It is a decision. The idea of frequency states, the law of attraction basically is generically what we're talking about here. The law of attraction, and I've mentioned this on the show a bunch of times, is a secondary law. The foundational law is the law of vibration. Everything vibrates. Everything's on a frequency. And if I'm on that frequency band, anything that is on that frequency band is available to me, and it gets manifested in my experience of reality. Shift frequency, I've got a whole different set of resources available to me. They were always there. They were, the helicopter was invented by Da Vinci in 1487, I think it was. But the frequency of collective groups didn't come into play until all of a sudden the thinking, and now we got metallurgy, we got fuel, all of that stuff. It was always there. But Sikorsky said, "Aha, I've got it." Now we got a helicopter. In the work that you do, last question here, and then I'll let you go. But in the work that you do, what kind of receptivity are you finding to some of this material, particularly, and I'm interested here, particularly in the business world?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm seeing an expanse in human growth potential, consciousness, and also the will to want to understand how to be a conscious spiritual entrepreneur. This is something that is expanding at an exponential rate right now. I mean, it is off the charts. It's a perfect time to be in a field where you can get people to do, self-improvement and also build businesses, because that's really where the key is, as we're on the brink of an economic contraction with AI and automation taking away so many millions of jobs, and it's only going to accelerate. People need to understand, how do I get on the other side of that, right? How do I put myself in a position where my job isn't taken away? Well, the answer is you need to start a business that you can be in control of, that utilizes those tools, and then you're on the right side of history when a lot of this begins to really collapse in terms of the structure that we know of today as the work environment. That's going to completely transform within 3 more years. And so there's this rush right now of people. They're all getting on the highway to transform. Some people are going to get stuck on the highway because they're missing the exit. But a lot of people are finally asking the right questions and seeking alternative ways to earn revenue. And so like the Forbidden Knowledge Academy, it came at the right time, in the right place. We're teaching people and connecting people and getting people to collaborate in ways and educating them on tools and AI and automation and innovation and ways they can transform the way they understand how to build a business model and how to live in their passion. The biggest thing for us is, are you passionate about what you want to build? Because if you're not, don't do it. There are millions of people running businesses that hate the business. I was in one that I had a call center, 50 people,
I'm
2
sorry.
stories. I couldn't stand it. One day I walked in and said, guys, take my part of the business, I'm done. And I was making a killing. I was making about $100,000 a week in my pocket. I walked away, cold turkey, I'm done. I became forbidden knowledge right after that because I wasn't living in my passion. So we get people to find their passion. We get them to understand who needs this passion in the world and how can you exchange your passion energetically with that person or that company. And then if you learn how to do that and you can duplicate that, then the side effect of that is money in your bank account. So we're teaching people how to live within their passion, use these tools the right way, be happy, be peaceful, and have money show up in their account without chasing it. No chasing of money, just only following your passion.
Yeah, money does not need to be chased. It's everywhere.
No,
Yeah, where am I going to get the money? Well, wherever it's at. You don't have to chase it down. It is available. Where can people find out more about what you're up to, Billy?
Listen, I'd love for them to go to the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.com, with the number 4 or forbiddenknowledge.ai. Either one goes to our brand new site. We just ended up going into an acquisition with Belrose Capital, which I'm now the president of Belrose Capital, and Forbidden Knowledge is a subsidiary of Belrose. And we're now publicly traded on the stock exchange. OTC is BELR, B as in boy, ELR. Just come on, find us over there, and we'd love to have you part of our leader team.
Perfect. I love it. Now, we've got a couple of other shows, and I know that David's going to want to talk with you. So we'll probably have you back on office hours again. But I've also got a podcast that I do called The Soul of Business. And I'd love to have you on there. It's a longer form show, and we can kind of log around in the weeds a little bit and see what we can.
That'd be great.
Scare up.
I'd love it, man. I'd love to even reciprocate. I'd love to have you. You're a man already, I could tell, with great knowledge. Definitely would love to have you on my podcast as well, because people need to hear this information.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Billy Carson, thank you for being you. Thank you for showing up today. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you too. All right. Bye.
Well, that was fascinating. And I'm looking here, Gigi, look, I know that we had one of our guests not show up, but we've got another one that is waiting in the wings, and I'm getting a text message. I don't think that's from Nick or you, but let me just check real quick. Nope. Looks like we have lost our other guest as well. So the last guest just left, Gigi is telling me. So what you're getting is me right now. I want to just talk a little bit about this notion of, oh, there she is. Hi, Pam.
Hi, hold on.
Okay.
Technical difficulties, and I am so excited to be here. I wanted to do this right. So right now I'm talking into the wrong thing. How funny is that?
Well, you take your time, get yourself organized, and I'll talk a little bit about who you are to the audience as you're getting yourself set up.
Hi, everyone.
This is Pam Sherman, and we're going to be talking to Pam here in a minute as soon as she gets squared away here. She's got a new book coming out that I want to actually spend a little bit of time talking. Oh, good, you've got it. And the title of it is Play You, The Role of a Lifetime, Bridge the Believability Gap to Boost Your Confidence, Connection, and Impact. And I think this was a great follow coming off of our last guest, because we were really talking about, and this is, you can see the tagline on my screen here, moving possibility into reality.
I love that. I have a bracelet that's all about possibility. So
that's, yeah. I mean, I've got a little thing on my desk that I've had for years. It's, you're not going to be able to see this, I don't think, but it says everything is possible.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I actually truly believe that. That's why I was so honored to be asked to be here with you. And because what you and David are putting out into the world is all about possibilities. And
absolutely,
this book has been, oh my gosh, it's almost 20 years in the making. I would say it's a lifetime of living it, but it's 8 years in the writing. And at some points, I didn't think it was possible to put it out, but I felt it was so important to share my beliefs. Isn't it funny that technology was the thing upsetting me? And, in my head, if you could have heard what was going on in my head at the time with this, because how I want to show up always is about making things possible, making things, having deeper connections, but also about being believable. It's not about me being authentic. What was making me upset was that I wouldn't be able to serve you and your audience with my message. And that's exactly what the book is about. How can we really increase not authenticity in this world, Blaine? There's plenty of authenticity. Authenticity is all about you showing up as you. Believability is about what you do for others. And that's what possibility means to me. It's all about my impact, connection, and I have to believe in myself and have others believe in me in order to do it.
You mentioned something here that actually moves me into a question around that interface between authenticity and believability. And believability has to do with more of what I'm providing, as you describe it here. Where does generosity come into that mix?
My other favorite word. It's so interesting. So I like to say I'm a recovering lawyer that became an actor. And the counterintuitive solution to growing your connection and impact with other people, in whatever role you're playing, I found back in a rehearsal studio when I was so miserable wearing what I call my metaphorical and actual ill-fitting suit as a lawyer. And I realized something wasn't right. And I decided to go back to my first love because I always dreamed of being an actor. I kind of thought being a lawyer would be like being one on TV. It wasn't. And
No.
I go back into a rehearsal studio and I realized, you know what the first thing that actors learn? It's not about you. It's about the other. It's about your other actor. It's about the collaborators. It's about how you reach your audience. How can you break through that metaphorical fourth wall in order to make a difference with your product, with yourself, with your team, with your community, with your family even, right? So that solution, actually, I started walking with I felt better. I felt taller. And in creating what I thought, well, this is the world of pretend. How is this even relevant? But the greatest actors take us on a journey of believability, not suspending our disbelief. We believe that, Tom Cruise can jump off a building not because of the CGI and the technology around him, because of the humanity and the storytelling that is being told that we want to follow and the journey we want to go on. And isn't that what we want from our leaders too?
And what's interesting about that, there's a reciprocity that kind of kicks in here. And Mission Impossible is a great example of this. And Tom does a lot of his own stuff.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. But there's an experience that the audience, and I'll just speak for myself. How do I feel about me while I'm in the presence of that movie or in the presence of that character, in the presence of that story? So it taps into the biology. And I'm very fond of saying that, when we start thinking about communication isn't a logical process. It's a biological process.
It is. Hearts and minds.
Hearts and minds. Yeah. And what I find is that a lot of leaders, and I'll just move it into that domain here, but a lot of leaders will rely on getting the right words. I got the message. I crafted the message. And some of the actors with whom I've worked, they will spend an inordinate amount of time memorizing the script and all of that stuff, which is all well and good. You got to know where you're going. Yeah. But then the extraordinary ones are the ones that live the script.
Right. It's so interesting. Viola Davis, who I adore, talks about, she goes, anybody can memorize lines. And, trust me, I perform in a one-woman show. For a while, I like to say I used to identify with my corporate captors, and I was diminishing even the acting metaphors because, you start working with leaders in large companies and they're like, no, we don't want to talk about that. But she talks about how it's all the work that comes before you memorize the lines that makes something feel real and believable. And too often, I'm often get called in, well, are you the media trainer? Do you do presentation skills? I'm like, no, we have to get back to the fundamental. This isn't about presentation skills. This is about how you want to show up for others. And the believability gap and bridging it even the most skilled communicators may still have it within them because they think they're supposed to show up in one way, and that makes them less believable to themselves. And they think they have to show up the way they're expected to show up, and that makes them less believable to others. And so it is a conundrum that can only be solved by getting back to the basics of knowing who you are, understanding that your power doesn't come in your title or your role, but from the character beliefs that you put forth in the world, the core values, the core defining word. Mine is energy, and I hope I show up with that.
You exemplify that.
Well, it's the greatest compliment. I mean, the real tagline of the book is be who you are wherever you are in order to ignite your audience. And people forget about that last part. They think it is all about be who I am, whoever I am. And, that's not important. In this world of living on technology, I'm meeting you here in this technological miracle. I still need to make a connection with you to understand the difference I can make for you and your audience. That's the real mistake for these leaders who give me the message. And often they don't think the message they have to prime an emotional pump before they get people to listen to what they need them to listen to, right? So I can't tell you the aha moments, and I work with leaders at every level, from the intern to the CEO. I'm agnostic on that because I feel that's why I wrote the book, because I want the people who can't work with me to read it. It's actionable, to get that it's not about what you want. It's about making sure you meet your audience's needs, and you need to find the clues in the script. It could be feedback. It could be your role description. But then you also need to, as a team, show up and be believable to each other. And then you have to overcome the obstacles that hold you back, those inner narratives. I call them the archetypes, and you can figure out what they are. It's the hero, the imposter, the director, the person who comes in and thinks that they have to be authoritarian and directive in order to get what they want. And the head fake for, I can't help but think, don't do business with dicks. I should have a tagline on this that says, don't be an asshole. That's what this book is. Oh my gosh. Can I say, is that okay?
You can say that. Absolutely.
Because I will never forget working with a very senior leader, and he goes, I thought I had to be an asshole to get things done. I'm like, yeah, let's see how's that working for you?
How's that working for you? Yeah.
It's not. So it's really fun. I love that you're all about generosity and possibility. So why not the definition of acting that, when I went back, and the funny thing happened on the way to my secure profession, my law firm went out of business. And after being profiled in People magazine for ditching my day job to pursue my dreams, I went back and I studied acting because I realized there's this great quote. I don't know who said it. I think it's attributed to Martha Graham, but if the stage were only as thin as a tightrope, so people would be afraid to tread upon it. It's a beautiful quote. And I studied in this technique by Sanford Meisner. And the other quote that drives the book is this: acting is the ability to live truthfully in given imaginary circumstances. So isn't that what we're all trying to do, is live truthfully in the circumstances that we're given?
And this is all imagined. This whole thing that we call reality is all imagined.
That's why when my clients get upset and they deal with conflict, I'm like, you got an eye on the prize. What are you really here for? Who do you really want to impact? What's the purpose of your business? Let's get you back. Like, how many leaders who are listening to this right now have a mission statement for their business and they don't have one for themselves, Blaine? A personal, even my purpose in the world is to share my energy. And I discovered it. I was in Casablanca working with 50 CEOs in Morocco. And at the end, I had trouble finding my core defining word. It's an exercise in the book. Like, what's the one word you would use to describe you? And there's only two rules. It can't be situational, late, tired, or hungry. And it can't. And your friends and family would have to agree with you.
Yeah.
So that's very important to me. And I couldn't find my word, which is so ironic, right? Like my clients, I'm like, what's the first word that comes to mind? But my dirty secret is I couldn't figure out mine. And at the end, after this 4.5-hour facilitation where, people cried, they shared things they'd never shared before. People came out changed. This woman came up to me and said, "Thank you for sharing your energy." And I was like, "That's all you got from this?" And then I had this aha moment.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Leaders cause movement. And I do something similar with the clients with whom I work. And it's an exercise about, and it's about capturing a word, but it has to be a verb. And
that's great.
I got this from Buckminster Fuller, Bucky Fuller. I am a verb. And what's the verb make possible? And the organization is a verb.
Yes.
When we start thinking about ourselves, our organization, our team, through the lens of action, because that's what life is built on, is action and growth. So as a verb, Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am.
Absolutely.
I imagine, therefore I am. I mean, those sorts of things.
It is funny though when I don't give them that construct. The word I had a client who, a very large company going through difficult times, and she said, "I am a lighthouse." And I was like, "Wow, why is that?" And she said, "Well, I need to be the light in the storm." And she what was happening in her voice and her body language was that she was walking down the halls, not looking people in the eye. She wouldn't put her camera on for virtual meetings. She had lost that ability. She didn't realize that that was part of her legacy, was how she was going to show up through difficult times.
Yeah.
And although I do love the verb,
I shine, therefore I am.
I shine, therefore I am, which was the whole point. I have to say, I love my cover.
I do too. That's beautiful.
When this
got
is
that
all
light in the middle.
done, it comes out on April 21st, which is 21 is a big number. I met my husband in my 21st year. We're married 44 years. We are, my birthday is June 21st. His birthday is December 21st. And my book is coming out on April 21st.
April 21st.
I didn't choose it. It's just apparently a day. So it's really important to me that the book was about shining your rays on others. It's not about, you'll bask in the glow of what, you give to them. It'll come back to you. And that's what I wanted people to. I had a great acting teacher once. I can't sing, but I took voice classes. She's like, "I'm going to teach you how to sell a song." She started on Broadway in the original Guys and Dolls. So that's, everybody knows Guys and Dolls because their high school has done it. But she said, our job is to shine our rays on our audience and just bask in the glow of what we've given them. And I thought it still moves me. It's in the book. And that's what we hope for our leaders, for our teams, and what we're going through. AI cannot replace that.
Right.
We can use it to enhance our rays, but because whatever filter you've got, I look fantastic. Thank you so much.
It works. Hey, we're trained professionals. Do not try this at home. That works. Pam, I want to thank you so much. I know David is going to want to be available the next time we have you back. We'll have you back on another show. And I mentioned this earlier to our previous guest too. I've got a longer form show that I do called The Soul of Business. It's a podcast. And I'd love to have you on the show, particularly around the launch of your book, if you're amenable to it. And
of course I am. Wait, am I allowed to take a picture? I know we're live, but this is so cool. And that everything worked.
Everything worked. There we go.
Yes, I would love to be back. For me, entrepreneurs, I do a lot of work in EO and YPO around the world. The entire mission of YPO, founded where I am right now in Rochester, New York, is better leaders through education and idea exchange. And that's what you guys live by. So I'm very honored to be here, Blaine. Thank you. And to come back, to be asked to come back. Are you kidding?
Hey, come on down. It's an encore.
I could talk about this all day. So thank you.
Okay, well, we'll make it happen.
Yes.
Folks, Pam Sherman, and the book is, let's see here, Explore, Dream, Grow, and Excite. This is kind of what we're working with, but the name of the book itself is Play You, the Role of a Lifetime. Tagline, bridge the believability gap to boost your confidence, connection, and impact.
Available for pre-sale right now.
There you go. Okay. Well, those pre-sale numbers are important.
Yes, you can get it on Amazon and or any other retailer that you want on pre-sale. I would love that because I want this in as many hands as possible because that's the impact I want to make. Thank you, Blaine.
And you can find out more about where the book is, not only the regular places, but the Pam, the PamSherman.com.
Because there's another one, Blaine, and she's a fitness instructor, and that is clearly not me.
Okay. Pam, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. I love talking with you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, folks, that's a wrap. Office Hours number 865, the Soul of Business edition. I want to thank you for listening. Two wonderful guests today, fascinating guests. And we'll be back next week. David and I do Napoleon Hill Institute teaching every Wednesday. So find a way to tune into that. David's got his meetings tomorrow, Friday. So I think that starts at 6 a.m. So be sure that you tune in. There you go. Thank you, Gigi. Free training. And if you want to find out more about what David's up to and get on the list, that will get you not only a book copy, his newest book, Do Business with Dix. Love the title. It's kind of in your face sort of a thing here. Go ahead and find a way to do that. dmeltzer.com/order. And we will see you next week on the Soul of Business Office Hours. Take care.
Now I'm at the point you wanna be with me. I'm vibing out at a higher frequency, cause everything that I want and I'm gonna be, it's when I wake up, that's when I start to dream. Someone you love is talking down, here is the plan. Let it fall through like a handful of sand. Nothing happens overnight, what you must understand. If you dwell on the bad, then you don't stand a chance. Something you want upset, saying why it ain't mine yet. That's because now you have yet to change your mindset. People don't put their mind to rest while they're so wired. A lot of people go to sleep and wake up tired. Power of positivity and persistence. Say that I can, we'll just sit back and witness. Make an impact when our time is done. Make money, help people, and have lots of fun.